week 11 of the fantasy basketball season. Here's a few forwards I would look to buy low or trade for this week. The first guy is Pascal Siakam of the Toronto Raptors. So Siakam now, he's missed the last couple games with protocols and health safety stuff here. And now he's been out the last two. The Toronto game, it was postponed on March 2nd because of COVID issues, but they're going to play the ball game on March 3rd. But right now, Siakam, he was having a great year this year, and the last couple weeks he really came onto the scene. On the season, he's ranked 47th in fantasy basketball, 20.1 points a game, 7.5 boards, 4.8 assists, 1.2 steals, 1.2 threes, 45% from the field, 81% from the line. And the last couple weeks before he went down with the protocol status, 17.4 points a game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 1.2 steals, 1.2 blocks, 95% from the foul line, and 44% from the field. So Siakam, he was having his way with teams, and he was putting up huge numbers, but now he's going to be out till after the All-Star break. And if there's any time where his value's at its low, it's right now, because once he comes back and starts putting up big numbers, obviously the low trade value is out the window at this point. In the last 3 games before he's been out, February 21st versus Philly, 23 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists and a steal. February 23rd versus Philly again, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals and a 3. And then February 24th at Miami, it was a bad game for Siakam. 5 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists and a 3. So Siakam, he's going to give you those 3 major categories, and sometimes even 4 with his steal prowess. And he's a player that was obviously a top 30 player going into fantasy drafts this season. And he's definitely lived up to the hype, even after he got off to a slow start. The first month or 2 of the season, he's really picked it up, such as this Toronto team. And right now is the time to buy Siakam low. The second player is Terrence Ross of the Orlando Magic. Ross, I know he's a street player, but that's what it comes when you're a shooter in this league. You're going to have peaks and valleys, and some big shooting games and some poor shooting games. And on the season, he's ranked 121 in fantasy basketball, 15.2 points a game, 3.4 rebounds, 2.2 assists, 1.1 steals a game, 2 threes, 89% from the foul line, 40% from the field is Ross. In the last week, his production's really gone down, is Terrence Ross. 11 points a game, 3.7 rebounds, 2.3 assists, 1.3 steals, 1.3 threes a game, 28% from the field, and 83% from the line. So Ross, on the season, like I said before, he's a 40% shooter, and he's just in a slump right now. And we've seen it a lot with him this year, where he has a couple awful games, and then he comes out and scores 25 points with 70% shooting from the field. And the last 3 games for Ross, February 25th in Brooklyn, 5 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal. February 27th versus the Utah Jazz, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. And in that one, he shot 25%. And then his last game, March 1st versus Dallas, 18 points, 4 rebounds, and assists, 2 steals, and a block, and 3 threes, where he got out of the slump a little, shooting 41%. So shooters shoot. Ross, he's getting tons of opportunities, where he shot 42 shots attempts in his last 3 games. And right now, this Magic team, they're on demand a little. So I think Terrence Ross, he'll be fine. And he's definitely a player you can buy low this week. The next player is Andrew Wiggins, the Golden State Warriors. And it seems like Wiggins, he's on this list pretty much each and every week, because people not paying Wiggins much respect. On the season, he's ranked 127 with 17 a game, 4.5 rebounds, 2.1 assists, 1.1 blocks a game, 1.8 threes per, 66% from the line, which definitely hurts, and 46% from the field, which is a pretty solid shooting percentage for Wiggins. But the last couple weeks, he's taken a tailspin downward in the rankings, is Wiggins, averaging only 11.7 points a game, 2 rebounds, 2.3 assists, 1.7 steals for Wiggins, just 37% from the field, and still an awful 63% from the foul line. So Andrew Wiggins, in my opinion, he's still the second or third option over there in Golden State. Whoever you want to say is the second guy, Oubre or Wiggins behind Steph Curry. But Wiggins, He's a good ball player. He was a first-round pick overall seasons ago for a reason and got traded for Kevin Love for a reason, and he's just in a slump. I think he'll break out, and the Warriors, they just had a bad ball game the other night at Los Angeles, and I think they'll bounce back with a vengeance in the next few games with tough matchups on the schedule. But these are the type of matchups and tests the Warriors want to see. If they could be a real threat in the Western Conference without Klay Thompson this year. And Wiggins, the last 3 games, February 24th at the Pacers, 15 points, 1 rebound, 4 assists, 2 steals. February 26th versus Charlotte, 17 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, a block. And then his last game at the Lakers, it's a ball game you pretty much just throw out and forget about. 3 points, 2 rebounds, 2 steals. And they lost that ball game by 26, and there wasn't much positivity, if any at all. And right now, Wiggins, his stock's just a little bit lower than it was last week, and I would definitely make a move for him because I think there's big games upcoming for him, and this guy on any given night could drop 30 points. So I think he's going to break out right after the All-Star break. The next forward's Tobias Harris of the Philadelphia 76ers. Some NBA people thought Harris got snubbed of not making the All-Star team this season, and it's been a great year for Harris. He's ranked 31st in fantasy basketball with 20.2 points a game, 7.5 rebounds, 3.4 assists, 1.7 threes per game, 51% from the field, 89% from the line, but now he's got a right knee contusion, and now Harris, he's missed the last 3 ball games here for this 76er team, but he's been playing well on the season. The last couple weeks before he went down, he averaged 17.6 points a game, 8 rebounds, 5.2 assists, 1.2 threes, 84% from the foul line, and 47% from the field. So Harris, earlier in the month of February, he was a sell-high guy, but now he's at the buy-low candidate, where his value's right where it should be, in my opinion. Not too high, not too low. And I think the rest of the season, he's definitely a top 40 or 50 fantasy player, but now with the injury and now with the All-Star break coming up, he's definitely going to be sitting out this last game here before the break and come back to action March 11th. And right now, this is the week where you should try to make some trades, obviously, with the All-Star break coming up, middle of the season here already in fantasy basketball and the NBA season. And right now, this is where it can make or break your season. So these are the guys to go out there and target. And Harris is definitely one of them, where I don't think you got to pay the premium right now with the injury and the break coming up. Maybe you could get things going. And in the last 3 games before he went down, February 21st at Toronto, 13 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists. February 23rd at Toronto again, 23 points, 7 boards, 5 assists, a steal, 2 blocks, and 3 threes. And then February 25th versus Dallas, 6 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. So Harris, he's putting up numbers, and he's given a lot of owners different categories this season, which is pretty surprising in my opinion. But right now, he's a buy low candidate with the injury and him being out to the break, even though that's only a week away. And the 5th and final forward I will look to buy low this week is Kyle Anderson of the Memphis Grizzlies. So Kyle Anderson, he's been pretty solid this season for the Grizzlies, but he's been out with the illness now. The last game or 2 here for this Grizzly team on the season, he's ranked 71 in fantasy basketball, 13.6 points a game, 6.2 rebounds, 3.6 assists, 1.2 steals for Anderson, 1.6 threes a game, 75% from the foul line, 47% from the field for Mr. Anderson. And he's been a solid player, former San Antonio Spurs, so you know he has that good work ethic. You know he probably learned something from Greg Popovich and that Spur team and just the culture there. And Anderson, he's been decent this season, like I mentioned. And the last 3 games before he got sick, February 25th versus the Clippers, 13 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and a steal. February 26th versus the Clippers again, 12 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, a whopping 5 steals and a block. And then February 28th, 13 points, 5 rebounds, and a steal in a 49-point victory over the Houston Rockets. And then he didn't play in the March 2nd game in Washington. So right now, Anderson, even with him putting up good numbers, I don't think you got to break the bank to get him. and he's a player I definitely would target and try to trade for at the forward position. And that's a few forwards I would look to buy low or just trade for here in Week 11 of the fantasy basketball season.